What's going on, guys? It's Lady B. We had an incredible weekend from the World Championship Finals, and we finally have our 2020 winner, and it's ALTERNATE.aTTaX. Stay tuned as we go over the highlights from their weekend. ATN has been a force to be reckoned with since the beginning of their joint efforts at the beginning of this year. And I am so proud and so happy to say that they are now the top team in the world as our new world champions for Clash of Clans. They deserve every accolade they've received. They deserve the credit that they've had going into this, and this weekend showed how dominant they are in the Clash of Clans scene, offensively and even defensively. So today we're going to go over some of the highlights of the wars. If you missed it, you have to make sure to tune in either to YouTube or to Twitch to watch the full event and really give credit to all the many teams that participated this weekend throughout and did phenomenal work. So today we're going to focus on the new World Championship winners, ALTERNATE.aTTaX, and we'll start with day one. Day one brought us with a much anticipated match, and that was ALTERNATE.aTTaX going up against HT Family. Now, HT Family did win the wild card vote, but we saw them back in August, and they took us by surprise because they came in with things that we were shocked to see, including Super Archers, which had been just released to the meta, coming in with a 99 and 92% from fire. They also introduced the Zapquake Royal Champion combination using a 1/1 one lightning spell, one earthquake combo, and the Royal Champion and her Seeking Shield to eliminate some outside structures, mostly for those Infernos, single targeting, multi-targeting, depending on what you're going for. So they brought a lot of new stuff to the meta, and we were really happy to see them coming through. But what surprised me so much was the defense coming in from ALTERNATE.aTTaX. We have to say, look at this, 13-10. That means coming into the World Championship Finals. We spoke with Bob. We spoke with Sir Iron. We knew that they were hoping to see some defense. I don't think they expected to see it come in this well, especially against a worthy opponent. But they were able to hold them back, and we can't go without giving credit to HT Family as well. We saw them through the weekend doing phenomenal work and holding many teams back, including holding back some amazing players here from ALTERNATE.aTTaX, Yo-Yo, and Lenaide. So very surprising stuff coming from them still. But at the end of the day, for day one, ALTERNATE.aTTaX came in with a win. So why don't we take a look at one of the highlight attacks from that day. So Ast was one of our 3-star hitters for day one in that first matchup here, and he came in with the Zapquake Lalo. And this is a dominating attack strategy in the meta because Zapquake picks up so much value. We don't just see it with Lalo, we do see it with other attack strategies, which you'll probably see through the video. But let's talk about what we've heard from Yo-Yo in one of the previous videos. We want to look for the value around the clan castle. Now, it doesn't mean you need to use your Zapquakes to take that out. As you can see here, Ast takes out the multi-targeting Inferno and a Wizard Tower to start shaping up the pathing, but you do need a way to contend with the clan castle troops. This not only takes a shape for the path for the Lalo by eliminating some splash, the Wizard Tower, and the multi-targeting Inferno, which you do have to be mindful of because those extra beams really do quickly burn down your loons, but it opens up the path here to push up towards the clan castle, lure them out. But when you do this, you need a lot of tank, especially if you're coming in for the town hall. So he brings in the Wall Wrecker. That works its way in to help navigate through, give a lot of tank, open up the path. He doesn't have to bring in super wall breakers to do it. And he has ice golems in it. Why the ice golems? Because they're going to help freeze all the defenses coming around, including that Royal Champion. We can see the air sweepers are here as well. So he's not only getting to the clan castle, but he's continuing to pick up more value for this Lalo push. So we've got one air sweeper down, one remaining, but we can see it's pushing towards the eagle. So that gives you an indication of the pathing he's going to come in with. And as you can see, it's dropped here, coming in from right behind with the clan castle eliminated, with the Royal Champion eliminated, the multi-targeting Inferno, and that entire side. We've got a narrow push for the La Lune. Now, a freeze comes down early for the scatter shot, so we can reserve the warden ability as we come into that queen chamber. We've got the queen, another scatter, an eagle. So this is why we want to hold on to the warden ability, because there's a lot of damage firing down on these loons, and look at how they're able to come through. Let's also note that there is a beautifully placed haste that sweeps them across very quickly to get through the last remaining defenses. And because the queen was up and you have loons, you want to bring headhunters, or sometimes you can bring skellies. But as long as you have something to help take down that queen, that's what you want to bring along with you. So Ast came in, threw in the 3-star for this incredible first day match, and absolutely showed why ALTERNATE.aTTaX is one of the best, maybe even the best at what they do. But we still have more days to look at, so let's talk about day 2. Now, day 2 brought ALTERNATE.aTTaX to face off against Existence. If you guys don't know Existence, then you must not know Rigo Torres. This is an amazing team. Existence players had previously played in Team Queso last year, but at the start of 2020 had switched over to a different organization name. So we still have basically the same players, so we have the addition of Creason for them. And it is, they've worked so hard to get here. We saw Existence make their way through in the September qualifiers, which I believe was the 4th qualifiers that we had go through, and it was a beautiful victory for them, with Creason actually having gone 100% in his hit rate. But as we can see with the stars, 14 stars to ALTERNATE.aTTaX, and they were also able to hold off Existence. Now, Existence, we know that they love their queen charges. Queen charge Lalos, they excel at. But we also know that ALTERNATE.aTTaX, their players and their base builders, love Lalo attack strategies. So that gives them the opportunity to try and build against and force them to have to go into different styles of attacks, which at the end of the day did not necessarily work out for Existence, and ALTERNATE.aTTaX was able to come in with a win. But let's take a look at one of those beautiful 3 stars from our ALTERNATE.aTTaX members. I think a lot of people were surprised to see ALTERNATE.aTTaX coming in with all these different attack strategies, including witches. But let's talk about the witch meta right now currently. So we're typically seeing this with the open wall bases, because witches can weave out in and out of those open wall compartments a lot easier. But let's also talk about the Zapquake portion. Now, the Zapquake is what allows your pathing. But when you're doing witch attacks, you always want the splash damage coming in head on. This happens with a lot of the smash style attacks, what people will call the spam attacks, because you have the healers working through, you want the damage coming in, and you also want your heroes behind, and you want to reserve the abilities. But you need to know where the splash damage items are, more importantly, where the scatters are. And you want to be mindful of any multi-targeting infernos with these witches, because they'll burn through the skellies quicker. You've got more beams to spread out, they'll get through the skellies, and it's not to say that you can't do it, but it's not ideal. So if you can eliminate one, that's great. In this case, he eliminates the scatter shot and he navigates his pathing. It helps the warden out. It leaves an easy push for him. Why do we want to use the warden walk instead of a queen walk? Well, if you can do it in a timely manner and you can reach stuff over walls, you can push him in a little bit easier. It's usually the safer bet because your queen can walk. But he actually navigates a beautiful path here. Look at this. He took out a portion of the space already with those sneaky goblins. We're looking right over here to the 2 o'clock side of the base. And you can see he's got everything with that leaves like this nice charge right into the core on a diagonal. And this is going to give the push leading to the town hall. Also, something you want to keep in mind is that you have a direct line path to the town hall in this, but always keeping the splash in the front coming in. And the way you can navigate this is with your jumps. While yes, you can use wall breakers, jumps are some of the easiest ways to help when you get inside the base to keep the pathing moving around. So you want to be very careful about the placement and narrowing out certain chambers so you don't force your witches out too far. You want to keep them moving through so they're taking on some of those key items. And as you can see here, he gets to the town hall, everything weaving in and out. The king is used to help keep the funnel moving along with the siege barracks. You want that working on the outside edge. And look at this P.E.K.K.A up top. The P.E.K.K.A coming out is taking on that mortar on the outside, so more splash damage that's being eliminated here from the flanking side. Always be mindful that there's not any damage coming into those witches, splash damage from the flanking edges, side swiping them. But here we get to see the jump in place, navigating through and heading straight to the scatter shot, straight to the eagle, all perfectly pathed to move along. Now let's also talk about the royal champion, because your royal champion is a massive amount of help, and it can really turn around your raid, but you have to be patient with her. You never want to drop her with the troops. You want to use her to flank. You want to use her to help continue pushing, pathing, and taking on some of the remaining structures. But in this case, he can't do it until that enemy queen went down. So we now see the royal champion deployed here from the 430 side of the base to come in and help take on that single targeting inferno. Now all singles on the back end, not a big deal for the witches, and we still have the queen ability reserved, but also notice that he's got a freeze left over. When you're doing these witch attacks, make sure you have some freezes along with you, because when you get to the back end of the base, you're typically coming in on these style bases where you're going to wind up either with a scatter, a wizard tower, which is detrimental to the witches, the single targeting infernos, which could pose a threat to your heroes, or potentially a multi-targeting inferno, which would pose a threat to your witches. So massive combination here of skill, which I think a lot of people don't want to admit, but there is a lot of thought process that goes into these witch attacks and knowing how to navigate them. When you do it in this style and it's not a spray and pray type attack and you're actually funneling it through, there is thought process in this. So kudos to Vale. And I have to give a huge shout out because Vale is our MVP for the World Championship. So his winning team came through to victory with a 70% hit rate overall this weekend, but Vale went 6 for 6. And we'll take a look at another one of his hits a little bit later, but we are still going to work through and take a look at all our guys from ALTERNATE.aTTaX. Now, day 3 brought us an incredible amount of matches, a lot of playtime for ALTERNATE.aTTaX. We had a best of 2 for both the semifinals and the finals. So we're going to go through each 4 of those matches as well and pick some of the highlights to talk about. So the first match that went down on day 3 on the final day of the World Championship finals was ALTERNATE.aTTaX versus Vatang. But this is where ALTERNATE.aTTaX continued to shine, continued to show why they are the world champions now for Clash of Clans. And with this, day 3, the first match against Vatang brought us 14-13. Let's take a quick look at one of those replays. So BuMm came in with a P.E.K.K.A Bobat. Now, when's the last time we're really seeing P.E.K.K.As in Town Hall 13? Well, this weekend we started seeing it. We had Nishang Dance, some of the other teams coming through and showing that they should be in the meta. And it was really surprising to see BuMm actually come in with a strategy, especially bringing in the bats. And the bats were his saving grace on this raid. We're going to talk a little bit about it. So let's take a look as he starts navigating. Now, when we talked about the witches and the smash kind of attacks, I mentioned that you need the damage coming in the front. The same is exactly the case here. But when you're bringing in bats, you also have to be very mindful of the splash damage that's around, because you need a plan for how you're going to use freezes, how you're going to use your RC, and if you're going to bring an ice golem to do any tanking, because that's how you have to keep your bats coming through. Depending on what splash damage is left over after your push coming in, your bats need to take it on and you need to be able to protect them. It will wipe out your bats swiftly. Now, we have the Warden that lines up the pathing here. Your Warden, again, great item to use. He did eliminate a Wizard Tower, so that's one splash damage item down. And then he's able to easily pull the Warden back over to the P.E.K.K.As. This is one of the safest bets to go. Now, you do need more funnel, and that's where the King comes in. The King comes in to help set up the pathing to the funnel. Now, look, we've got the wall break that opens things up here, and you're going to see the jump. Let's take a quick look here at the compartment that we have. So the jump's supposed to lead in, and we're talking about scatter shot, wizard tower, scatter shot. Eliminating those items is what you want to do. That's taking out all your splash, well, not all your splash damage, but taking out your splash damage in chunks. And it's right there, direct path through. Ideally an easy push in. It doesn't happen to work that way. He loses a lot coming through, but that was the plan for BuMm to come in with this one. So as he paths in, he's got that direct push coming in to take on all those items. And that's a huge eliminating factor that he wants to get out. Also notice he sends in the blimp, this direct line path. Now, let's also talk about this for a second because we've got all ground bows here. I think this is very smart. He is coming in behind a sweeper, but because he hasn't pathed to see if there's any traps inside the base, he has to use the warden ability. So be mindful if you're going to send in a blimp that if you're cutting through the core, that you have something that's going to help it get through. And obviously it gets a clan castle pull, and he's already eliminated everything, but his queen does survive. Very important here. But now that he did not get the scatter shot down, he knows this. He recognizes this. He's got the team working with him saying, you didn't get the scatter shot down. We need to go to plan B. I have a feeling he knew that there was a possibility it might not happen because this was really quick thinking. So he goes into the dead zone of the scatter shot. You have this little safe area right inside where it's not going to impact anything around. The wizard tower went down. That was over to the side. So there's no more splash coming on the bats. So he can safely drop it right in that dead zone center of the scatter shot and get it going. But he also has to be mindful of the remaining splash damage. We've got 2 wizard towers. So he drops an ice golem to tank for the royal champion so she can help work her way through. Now the royal champion can spare you an extra free spell if you work her through on a splash damage item like this wizard tower. So he's able to cut those bats just behind her and across and save a freeze for that back end wizard tower that still remains. So this was really smart adjustment. The bat bomb likely was not intended. I do think he meant to get a bit more value coming in because we saw that pathing. You want everything coming in, that splash damage direct on, which is how he lined it up. Just a little too much damage coming into the P.E.K.K.A smash portion of this, but quick thinking is what kept them through. And I think we should probably highlight the fact that ALTERNATE.aTTaX players are constantly pushing in Legends. I don't know how many of you guys are Legends pushers or Legends hitters doing this day to day, but the majority of these world championship teams have been pushing for Legends, and it helps them to adapt on the fly. It helps them with a quick thinking. And that helped BuMm come through with the 3-star here, which definitely could have been a difference maker at the end of the day. So let's take a look at the second match against Vatang, and we'll choose another highlight replay to talk about. In the semifinals best of 2, this was the second match, and again, another dominating but sweeping victory here for ALTERNATE.aTTaX, as they not only picked up 14 stars against Vatang, but they held defense yet again completely throughout this. We had 10 stars against them, so this was a beautiful example of the base building that goes behind ALTERNATE.aTTaX, and huge credit and kudos to Sir Iron and to Bob, who are the unsung heroes. We don't get to see them in the spotlight as much and on the stage. We do get to see them in some of the various leagues, and they do play, but we don't get to see their faces quite as much, and the team is so grateful, and they are always pushing their guys here because they know how much support these two give them. So I always want to make sure that we shout them out as well, because base building, particularly in this World Championship finals, was huge. So credit to them. But let's take a quick look at one of the highlights from this match. So here's another example of doing what we don't expect from them. Yo-Yo23, who is known as Lalo23, coming in with the P.E.K.K.A, Witch, Yeti, Smash. Crazy. Let's take a look at it. So this shows us more about how powerful the Smash can be if you can't get in with a Lalo, if your Lalos are not going to work, if your hybrids are not going to work, you need to think outside of the box. And particularly, you need to get a 2-star. This is one of the ways to go because you're always getting that push directly in for the town hall. Now we get to see the Zapquake combination here, which is shaping up the path, shaping up the funnel. It does eliminate an Inferno, which is going to pose a threat to the Warden walk here, either to the Warden or the healers. He eliminates some of the surrounding damage for this Warden as well, because he can't take on too much and you don't want to force that Warden ability too early. So always be mindful when you're coming in with these about this. Now, this was a little bit worrisome because all of a sudden we had all these bows coming in onto the Warden, but he quickly drops down the Queen, freezes them up to hold that off because he does not want to force this Warden ability too early. And what did we talk about the last time? When you're doing these smash style attacks, you want the splash damage coming in head on. So as we see he's pushing towards a town hall, where can we see the scatter shots are? Because we want to look for those right here. So we need to see that direct push coming in. So the path from the town hall coming through into the core. And we do have these wizard towers on the backside, the sidelines. But that's where the king and the siege barracks will come into play to help work their way out. Why? Because we've got some open walls. So again, these smash strategies work really well in the open wall meta right now. So he gets that direct push into the town hall, rages up here. This is where you're going to want to see your Warden ability. As they're coming through, you want to protect everything coming in, especially because he's coming through to the multi-targeting Inferno. Again, we talked about this not being ideal for witches. With a smash, it's not as bad, but you do need to make sure that you can really quickly push through it. And look at the jump connection, and you can actually see it midair. Why is he opening up that outside chamber? He's already timed it perfectly to start cleaning it out. It's not going to pull his core troops out, but it is going to push the P.E.K.K.A.s inside. He also has the exit entry here, the exit opening here to push what he has left over coming out of there. And we do have some witches that are working along the outside edge. So that jump is key to get him to the scatter shot, to the multi-targeting Inferno, to the singles, to the remaining wizard towers, and also help get a couple more troops coming in and out. And it also serves as an exit later on. You've got everything working through. You get a little bit of a split. The king goes out, a couple P.E.K.K.A.s go out, but he still has everything he needs. And now let's talk about the reachable value again, because we've got these openings in the walls. No matter where he goes, once he got through the center of this base, it is all reachable on the outside edge. So even when they jumped out, once that portion was cleared off, he was able to work his way through and get everything along the outside. And again, Royal Champion, what's he doing? Holding off. He's also protecting her. You want to make sure that there's not too much damage coming in at your Royal Champion. We talk about this with hybrids as well. Your Royal Champion is always protected by your hogs, by your miners. So this is no different here. Your Royal Champion is always a troop that you want to be able to be protected. You want her ability towards the tail end of the raid when you're using her in these style of attacks. Unless you're doing a Zapquake Royal Champion entry, you want to reserve for the end to continue navigating pathing and reserving the ability for some of those key items, single targeting Infernos, scatter shots, Eagle artilleries, and any really heavy splash damage that could wind up at the end of the raid. So Yo-Yo continuing to impress us coming through, not only doing Lalo, we even saw him do hybrid as well. But we're going to talk about hybrid a little bit later because I've got one lined up with Lenaide. But first, let's talk about the grand finals match. It is, again, a best of 2 that they had gone through. And we'll start taking a look at the first matchup of that best of 2. The grand finals of the World Championship qualifiers brought us ALTERNATE.aTTaX going against Queenwalkers. This was a beautiful combination. Queenwalkers came through shining this weekend. I cannot get over how much they seemed relaxed and confident going into this, and it was a sight to be seen because it looked like they were thoroughly enjoying themselves. And I am so glad because they've worked so hard through the years. We saw them in the 2019 World Championship finals, and they really got a chance to shine. And any given day, this could have been their war. But ALTERNATE.aTTaX just came in so hard with their defenses to be able to hold back Queen Walkers. I would like to do a video. I'll probably do something about Queen Walkers with the World Championship Finals, particularly with Klaus, because Klaus was very impressive. And if it was not Vale who was MVP, it would have been Klaus, both of them going 6 for 6 in the World Championship Finals this weekend. So huge credit to both of them. And we're actually going to take a look at another one of Vale's hits, another one of our MVP's hits here today. So let's take a look and see how it went down. Both MVPs came in with impressive hits in this matchup, and I actually highlighted both of them in the World Championship Finals on the telestrator for the analysis part because they were both exceptional. And this is why I want to do another video on Queen Walkers, particularly highlighting Klaus and how well he performed this weekend. And what we got to see here from ALTERNATE.aTTaX is how deep they think into bases and how they can just massacre a base. Let's talk about the style base that Vale goes in with the Zapquake, Hero Dive, Lalo. Now we have dead zones that are, damage zones that are very common right now in the meta. So when you have the outlying air defenses, you're not going to have your air traps placed here, right? No, you're not. You're going to put your air traps in the core of the base. You're going to put them there because you want any loons that come along the way to pick up those traps. You don't want them near the air defenses because the hounds will pick them up. Hounds go straight for the air defenses. If you force them on the outside, the hounds aren't cutting inside the base. But Vale thinks about this differently, finds a way to go about it, and shreds apart the base. So he comes in with the Zapquake combination, but first he actually starts off his Hero Dive because he doesn't want to waste any time. He's got the seven lightning spell combination, so we know automatically he's going for the queen in the core of the base, and we've got the multi-targeting Inferno here. So that's how he wants to eliminate it, but he only waits because he wants to save some time. Now the Ice Golem comes in to do the tanking for the Wall Wrecker, and look at the position he's coming in on. We've got a scatter shot, another scatter shot. We've got the Eagle. We had the air defense that went down. In the core of the base, we've got the Queen, the Royal Champion. We've got 2 air sweepers, but we've got the Clan Castle that's at the opposite side of the base. So he's got to figure out a way to lure that Clan Castle or eliminate it. With the push that he comes in, you'll see that that's actually how he takes care of it. He's able to lure the Clan Castle and eliminate it. So down come the lightning spells to try and take out the queen. They do not get her down because he didn't do this in the beginning. He didn't want to waste time, which I understand. But he also knew that he'd be able to take her out. If he missed her, there would be enough damage on her that he could still take her down. So the queen, the king, the ice golems come in to do some tanking. We've got another ice golem. We've got the royal champion to help come in, take on the opposite side. And he's able to eliminate a huge chunk of the space. Look at how this is shaping up. So queen goes down. Royal champion's here, takes on the last remaining air sweeper. 2 air defenses here go down, and bearing in mind, we had gotten that first one down. So a total of 3 air defenses, 2 scatter shots, the eagle, the enemy queen, the defending royal champion, air sweepers, and we're even getting the Clan Castle pull on this. So as you can see, the ice golems are right there in that radius, just in that corner, because when you're doing this, you need to look at the radius of everything around, particularly the Clan Castle. If you want to pull them, if you want to lure them, or if you don't, you know, there are cases like drag attacks where you don't want to lure that with your troops or with your heroes. So he's able to pull that, pick up some massive value. The hound pops, the hound comes out, but it's not an issue for him. And he's got an archer up there that just pulls it out of the way anyway. So with that, let's take a look at this shape up of the path. He took down nearly 50% of the base just with that opener. I would say incredible value. And he's got 3 hounds to work this through in a very centralized area of damage. So what does this mean? This means the Warden ability is going to go the distance. He freezes up the Giga Inferno because he doesn't want the loons to take on too much damage, holds it off enough so he can reserve the Warden ability to get through, and then look at that, haste to sweep them across the remaining defenses because he knows he's got splash damage around. He knows he's got a lot of heavy hitting, damage coming in, but he's able to get through it. Now, we talked about the dead zone. He was able to cut through, so he didn't have to force his loons in. And yes, there's traps here. Yes, there's traps. And yes, we do see a few of the loons picking it up, but his entire loon path did not need to go through it and suffer that. They were able to sweep across, get to the defenses before they had to contend with that. So he didn't have all the air skellies on it. And it actually worked out because of the positions of the minions where they're able to take it on. And he brought that poison. So the poison can help take down the air skellies and quickly allow the minions to work through. So that's one way you can actually deal with these damage zone bases where you're going to have all the traps. Just make sure you're not sending your loons in there unless you're able to use your warden ability in it. That would be about the only way that you want to go about it, though Klaus found a very different way to go about it, which will be another video. That'll be another video. So our MVP Vale coming in and showing us that he has no fear with these damage zones and going in with his Lalo, but it's all on the approach. Now, this was not the final war for the grand finals. It was the first match of a best of 2. So we've got one more to go that led them to victory. And boy, was this one a surprise. And what a way to finish off the day. Let's take a look. The final match of the World Championship qualifiers was a perfect war from ALTERNATE.aTTaX. I can't say enough how dominating the performance was that we saw. And again, we saw them holding their defenses strong. To be able to hold Queen Walkers to 12 stars really is a testament to their base building. The time that the guys have put into testing the players themselves and to what their builders, Sir Iron and Bob, have done. So kudos to them. But look at this offense. A perfect war. It was absolutely incredible to witness and to watch. So if you didn't have the opportunity to take a look at the World Championship finals, please do make sure that you take a look. But the last attack that I do want to highlight here, we have not yet seen from Lenaide. Lenaide is one of my favorite attackers because he does Queen Charge Hybrid, and Hogs have always been one of my favorite attack strategies. And with Town Hall 13, the addition of the miners really makes them viable. So I love what he does with it. And this was finally the opportunity I got to see Lenaide pick up the triple with the Queen Charge Hybrid. So let's take a look. Looking at this base, I can see why Lenaide chose it. I love when attackers use the natural pathing and shape of the base. He's already got it lined up for him. And he comes in from the Town Hall side. Now, I think a lot of times when you're thinking about these hybrids, sometimes people might think the natural path is to bring the hybrid into the Town Hall because you can just force your warden. Well, that's not the case. If you can pick up some better value by using your Queen Charge coming in, you can make your hybrid pathing just so solid here. But it really starts off with the pathing for the queen. Your queen is needed to funnel out. Hybrids, I say it all the time, need narrow pathing, and that's why you use your queen to forge that push. Very smart to use the P.E.K.K.A. actually here. The P.E.K.K.A. helps create such a beautiful funnel. This is a tough corner to come in from and bring the queen charge, but he does it so well by using a minion on one side where it's not taking on any air damage, any air targeting damage coming at it, and the P.E.K.K.A. on the other side where there's a lot more defenses. And it helps to cover the queen. So the double layer wall break pushes the queen into the Town Hall chamber, and he's able to take on the clan castle. Now, this is why he comes in from the side for the Town Hall. Just because the Town Hall and the clan castle are together doesn't mean you can't do your hybrid, but you do need to get through. You need to take down the clan castle troops for a hybrid push. You can't send your hogs and miners straight into a clan castle because it's gonna cause too many problems for you. If you've got ice golems in there, which we don't even see in the meta that much, it's going to be a problem. If a hound were to come out, for the royal champion to get stuck on that, there's just too many combinations that you don't want happening to the troops. So this is a perfect push for the queen to come in, and it's why he comes in on the side. You don't want your hybrid dealing with the clan castle troops. So the queen goes to the Town Hall, to the clan castle, and we notice we have one more super wall breaker to come in and take on that multi-targeting inferno. Again, something you don't really want to have to contend with your hybrid. But as this is pushing through, you can see her direct path coming up towards the 3 o'clock side of the base. And we've got these nice moated chambers here as well that cut out the pathing naturally. So the queen's doing some work, and he's allowing the base to also be that position to lesson what he needs to work through. Look at how narrowed out this is. And because it is so narrowed out, he can actually drop his king and the siege barracks, not at the 9 o'clock side of the base, but a little bit further down to get that push coming in. And we notice that there's an opening in the wall. So it allows the king and the siege barracks, the troops of Pekka and everything else to come in and work their way through and keep the navigation moving along. So that's the natural line path that we get to start seeing formatting for this hybrid. And because we have the warden ability you're going to want to use where you have a lot of damage coming in. We've got the king, we've got the queen, we've got the scatter shot all in one place, and wizard towers all around, plus the eagle raining down. So yes, we're going to want to use the warden ability here because the king and the queen are high hit point items. Storage is also high hit point items that if you're getting continuous damage coming into your miners and your hogs, you need to make sure that they're covered. And that's where you're going to want to use your warden ability. But you're also going to want to be mindful that you use your heals coming towards that splash damage. So if you have wizard tower scatter shots, get those down, make sure they're healed up, particularly before they're going into it. And don't layer your spells. It's one thing I can't express enough. I think it's something a lot of people have a tendency to do if they're worried. So make sure when you're planning, you know where you're going to drop your spells. Planning phase, always look where the splash damage is, where you're going to do that. And for the hogs, know where you're going to use your warden ability, where all that heavy hitting damage is coming in, where the miners are up and taking on the heat. So Lenaide coming in, showing us why he is a master at the hybrid. At some point, I do think we'll have him join us for a segment talking about hybrid. But first, we are going to have Vale come through. I did have an interview with Vale. We talked about dragons. I always feel that Vale and Ast are two of the best dragon players in ALTERNATE.aTTaX. I love watching their dragon attacks. So I decided to talk to him about it. So we're going to have an interview with the MVP talking about drag strategies. And I've got a few nice replays actually from the finals that we can talk about with that. So that's it for the recap of the World Championship Finals. A huge congratulations to ALTERNATE.aTTaX. I can't say again how impressed I am by the team. What a beautiful performance they had this weekend and throughout the year. So kudos to these guys, and kudos to our base builders, Bob and Sir Iron. So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow these incredible players over on their social media and over on their channels. Now, I don't know if BuMm will come back to any streaming or not, but he is a great wealth of knowledge, particularly if you're pushing in Legends. So I know he's always very helpful in his streams when he does stream to talk to players about how to go about pushing. So again, stay tuned, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.